welcome. This is the news review segment of the show. And this morning we're digging into all the papers. We have the Daily Graphic, the Finder newspaper, the Ghanaian Publisher, and the Economy Times from my end. Mama V, which papers do you have?
Oh, I'm going to do the Ghanaian Times, the Daily Guide. There's the Daily Dispatch, and hopefully I can look at the Daily Statesman.
Right.
And then the National Enquirer newspaper.
Right, so we delve into them this morning. Mama V, I think we could start from your end. I know you have the Ghanaian Times.
Yeah, let's do the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Front page, December 2020 election. We will use only manual transmission to collate results. That's according to the Electoral Commission chair. In the Volta Regional Minister cancelled for construction to begin on solid waste facility, and then government to introduce startup bill to support small businesses. EC not following legal provisions to ensure credible, transparent election, and that's according to former President Mahama. Of course, we will get into why he's drawn that conclusion in the center spread. Details of some of the front page headlines, but there's also the story. Police hold Memorial Day for 14 falling officers, and Agric Minister lots farmers and fisher folks. So that's basically what's in the center spread of the paper. On the back page, 5-day Agric Fair underway at Techiman. CSIR spearheads 4-year partnership for recycling waste water. That story is on the back page of the Ghanaian Times.
Let's quickly move on to the Daily Graphic, and it says, return Agyapa deal to Parliament. President instructs Finance Minister. It's getting interesting, isn't it? With every passing day. And I find it also very interesting that right after, a lot of people have been saying the corruption-related issues, a lot of them, there are loose ends that have not been tied. How are they going? Then Shraj comes through. Then, finally we see Eja Amidu, starting to do something ahead of election 2020.
He represented the report to the executive about 2 weeks ago, right?
Yes.
And comes to tell us about it when the whole Shraj conversation was on, and everybody said, oh, Shraj did its bit. So where's the corruption bit that Mr. Martin Abidu was handling? And then he drops the bomb. Oh, I presented this report to the executive 2 weeks ago. Hello.
So Martin, as usual, but I find it very interesting. This bit about, Agyapa royalties, yes. Then he extends into other ones, and then he comes through with, the Airbus scandal and says,
and he talk about
government official one. I'm telling you that this is government official one. And if it weren't for, the impending elections, I would have interrogated. But I don't get it, Boavi. If someone is minding, I don't know, because we're talking about the PPA boss and the fact that, I know we're jumping the gun, delving into a bit of discussion, but the PPA boss and the fact that owing to what he's done, he's not even supposed to hold public office for a while. If supposedly there is that surety about someone dabbling in such two-faced corruption, and the person is getting into an election to be elected, wait, does it not, am I the only one here? Hello? Does it not make sense to prevent, supposedly, if it were true, that person from getting into that public office, rather than wait for maybe, and it's a 50-50 chance, that person to get into office? And now what are you going to do?
He says it's insurance.
I don't get Martin.
He says it's insurance.
I see.
Yeah, so you can, if there are some corruption allegations and it has to be investigated, you can get insurance so that you'll pass. PNC to deliver prosperity, that's according to Apasera. December 7 polls beckon Greater Accra must-watch region. 135 farmers to be honored Friday. Virtual celebrations slated for Techiman. It's not a holiday, mind you. It's not a holiday. Then graphic business or Stanbic. I think it's a holiday. And then just when people were planning. Like people had even finished planning.
So don't go planning your Friday thinking you're going to chill. Graphic business Stanbic Bank breakfast webinar, 7:30 a.m. today, and we'll be bringing you that action live. So just stay tuned. The topic, leveraging COVID-19 as a launchpad to diversify Ghana's economy. So that's it. It's actually on page 39 of the Daily Graphic. On the back page, community mining scheme won't stop after elections. That's according to the sector minister, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. Let's continue from there. Which paper is next?
The Daily Dispatch. Front page of Benefsin's Daily Dispatch says, more from CDD's 2020 election research. Swing voters have increased to 41%. I kind of like that.
41%.
You know,
I think the higher that gets, the better, right?
I think so. Not everybody would think so, though. Goyle wins 2 prestigious awards. Congratulations to Goyle. Regional Minister cut sold for Volta Region Solid Waste Treatment Facility. Ask the politicians, where are your children? Professor Assante to youth on electoral violence. I will be doing a bit of details of that very important statement by Professor Assante on the back page. Jogate fills the streets of Iskado Ketan with thousands of supporters. Deregulating OMCs has benefited Ghanaians, says Hassan Tampuli, the MPA CEO. That's it for the Daily Dispatch.
The Finder this morning says the impact of free SHS will be visible in 10 years, Dr. Baumia. Now, yesterday, I just went to, I think it was the year 1995, free basic education, and back then a gargantuan sum of money, over, 300 million or so dollars that had been planned for a 10-year period. So you would have been looking at 1995 to 2005 for free basic universal education, F-Cube, and the rest to kick in. Now, here we are again. We're always projecting into the future. Do you remember Vision 2020?
Of course.
Anyway, so
that
here
was
it is.
Rawlins's vision, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Abna Osayasari shakes Etiwa East with massive health walk, and this story, 14 fallen police officers honored, of course, posthumously, and it's quite a number, though, just this year. Mahama's war drum utterances, sign of impending defeat. That's according to the MPP. COVID-19, Ghana's active cases rise to 620. And this is my concern because they are rising again. Second wave? God forbid. GJA condemns impunity for crimes against journalists. That's it with the Finder newspaper.
Let's do the Daily Guide. Front page of the Daily Guide. Return Agyapa to Parliament's Akufo-Addo orders. You know, the kind of things that Martin Amidu said. Well, anyway. NDC's Felix hot over Dawn visit to Lady. I'm surprised that it's made it into the papers, but not all surprised. Solar irrigation for cocoa farms. Also another story there. Comes with a picture of a woman I absolutely admire. Ya Prepare Amekuji. And then MP killers charge sheets amended. VR gets, that's Volta Region gets waste treatment facility. Let's check out what's on the back page, rather. Kotoko board member gets Excellence Awards nomination. It's difficult to manage Messi. That's former Barca coach making that confession there. My stupid mistake cost Manu. That's Paul Pogba also confessing there. Ex-keeper takes over Tema Beach Soccer. That's newly formed and first ever beach soccer club from the port city of Tema. They've unveiled their CEO. Details of that is on the back page of the Daily Guide. You know, Paul Pogba is so erratic. He's so on and off. I think we should. It's better when you say this. I left the team. I left the team.
But you are.
I said I'm with Leeds.
Leeds.
Did you hear me talk about Manchester United?
Please stick with your Leeds United. When Man United fans are talking, the Ghanaian publisher says, GAU, that is the General Agricultural Workers Union, praises government for increasing cocoa prices. Picture there, Mr. Edward Kariwe. Losing Mahama beats war drums. MPP alerts Ghanaians. The defense minister has been speaking, Dominic Nitiwo. He says government will keep retooling the Ghana Armed Forces. And then 2020 Farmers' Day set for this Friday. On to the next one. That's the National Enquirer front page. Stop the hypocrisy. Mahama ended doom. So Reverend Kranchi Ankara slams NPP others. Misled, and misled is in quotes. Misled Akufo-Addo sneaks murky Agyapa deal back to Parliament. And then there's a full text of NDC's The People's Ejimapa Manifesto, Jobs, Prosperity and more, and promoting human development in the paper. Okay. And then there's this other one. Criminal is in quotes. Jean Mensa overprints ballot papers to rig 2020 polls
for Akufo-Addo. We know the Electoral Commission is disputing that strongly, but that's the National Enquirer newspaper.
You should have heard my interaction yesterday with Peter Boamo Tukuno and the choice words he had for the Electoral Commission on the back of that. Me, I just pray for, understanding, peace. According to the CDD poll, a lot of people, I think above 40% are saying they don't care whether it's free or fair. They just want peace in the country. But you see, if it's not free and it's not fair, that will not grant us the peace.
Yeah.
I'll wrap up with this paper, The Economy Times. It says government records 9% deficit from January to September of 2020. Ghanaians debate Airtel Tigo shares transfer to government. I'm going to throw a hot potato at you, Mama V. What do you think of this? Some have said government has no business delving into this matter. Let things take their natural course. Let, private enterprise deal with it. They want to offload the shares, let them do it. Others are saying, no, it's a right move in the interest of Ghana for a while, contain it. It's a $25 million, and then afterwards you can, ship it off, whichever the intent is. Where do you sit on this?
Well, I've had some experts, some professionals talk about the fact that in the meantime, so temporarily, government can hold because there are jobs on the line as well. And I think that I would probably go with that view, but don't hold it for too long. Don't do it for too long. I'm not sure if it gives even the people confidence knowing that government in itself, the state is not good at managing, these enterprises. So it's not in the interest of business and making profits if that's the focus. And I'm not sure there's any business that exists and that says that I'm not in business to make profit. If that's the motive also for the state, then they themselves know, or the state is aware that they can do it.
Treading a very dangerous
They can do it for long. So I guess temporarily, and that's what everybody says, don't do it beyond 3 months. Maybe because of the elections, we might not be looking into it like we should. But definitely after the elections, it shouldn't still be in the control of government.
This analogy comes to mind because of our checkered political history. It's like a military putsch or coup d'etat. After you've done it, don't hold on to power for too long. That's the whole bit. So government spends $27.4 billion in Q1 2021 as it plans to raise $3 billion Eurobond. On the back page, Government Bank of Ghana to team up for cheaper mortgages for Riata. And even as we talk of the EcoBank Habitat Fair and all of that, how cheap is cheap when it comes to housing in this country? And mortgages, hey, you don't, unless you have some serious money coming through.
So listen, I'm excited about this year's Habitat Fair because we have one of our exhibitors, one of our sponsors really coming up with something that I think is truly affordable. We've used the term affordable, and I think that we're beginning to actually see deals that are truly affordable, where you're not paying the bulk 20% payments, that huge amounts, but you're paying as you're paying rent. And then after a period, when you've paid up to your 20%, you can move in and still continue to pay for the rest of the period. Yesterday, I had interactions with one of our sponsors again. They also have some cool deals where they can spread the payment for up to 5 years, and you're not paying extra. So this is not like a bank loan.
Why are you not telling me about?
Well, that's what I'm telling you.
You're telling me only now when you're sharing the information with everybody.
No, but I'm telling you also because we are going to go to the conference center where they will be available from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and you can have all the interactions with them. So it's way better than even me telling you right now.
I'll be there.
Yeah,
I'll be there. I'll be there.
I've got a last paper, the Daily Statesman. Baumia commissions facilities for Bibiani College of Health. Government begins payments for local tertiary scholarships. NPP fires war-mongering Mahama, accuses him of preparing grounds to reject defeats. And there's nothing on Agyapa in the Daily Statesman, at least not on the front page that I see. I'm not entirely surprised.
But on the back of the housing bit, I just wanted to add, in some countries, these are springing up container houses. The containers and all of that. They're way cheaper, actually. And I guess it's just the preference and maybe the way we've been socialized. Because in other countries, people are taking advantage of these shipping containers and doing amazing things with them. Story buildings with containers, interesting concepts. Let me start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. December 7 polls beckon Greater Accra must-watch region. And the Greater Accra region has been a swing region in the last 7 elections, which makes it a must-watch in the December 7 general election. Since December 7, 1992, the battle to win the Greater Accra region has been very intense and the outcomes varied. This year's elections will be no different, as the region is heating up with the ramping up of political roadshows, which sometimes burst into violent clashes between the NDC and the MPP. Here I am again finding problems, grammatical issues with the Daily Graphic, but I'll not say anything. So it goes on to talk about swing correlation, MPP, NDC head-to-head. But the highlight, big and small political parties are strategizing to snatch the most votes from the Greater Accra region, which has the highest number of voter population, with a track record of always going the way of the candidate who eventually gets elected as president. So there's a bit of a spiritual, if you like, it's an omen. You take the Greater Accra region, you're likely heading to the Jubilee House. But the interesting twist here is that the smaller parties are also saying, this year, we're going to take a chunk of the votes from the Greater Accra region. If that happens, it could affect either party of the bigwigs. Sometimes we talk as though they were the only ones, but the fact is, Charlie, they are the biggest, MPP, NDC. December 7 will tell.
Yeah.
December 7 will tell.
So related to this, still talking about the elections, there's a very important question that Professor Assante, immediate past chairman of the National Peace Council, Reverend Professor Emmanuel Assante, is saying that when the politicians come to you, you should also ask them. And I just want to quote from what he said. If they come to you to ask you to follow them to do something untoward, ask them, where are your children? So you're asking the politicians where their children are. He was addressing the various youth groups at the Youth Peace Dialogue and signing of Peace Charter. He highlighted the need to sustain political education in the country to ensure the youth are able to resist any attempt by politicians to manipulate them for their selfish gains. I was a bit surprised when I asked the Ghana Bar Association president, who was with us last week, how else we could resolve the Odododio issue, and he said education. Yeah. Education. And I think that we should spend a lot of time, because I believe that there are a lot of young people who follow people who are doing bad things. They actually don't even know why they are doing it, just know that somebody's doing it and I'm also doing it. And I feel like if we dedicated our time, and he said focused education, I don't think it should just be the politicians. I think it should be every person. Once we identify, and thankfully we've identified the hotspots, we shouldn't just put policemen there and say, if some situation is coming up, something is brewing, kill it. But we should identify the hotspots and also target them and educate the people. You know, I feel like we should use everything that we can. So this is a very good call. Yeah. When they come, ask them where their children are. Yeah. Yeah.
Have the guts to just ask them and look at the expressions on their faces and how they will react. And you know, I totally agree with Mr. Fossen, isn't it?
In terms of the education?
The GBA, yes. Because
Anthony Fossen, yes.
Now, in 2011, May, I remember the NCCE conducted a research, They went out there, it was a survey. And guess what a lot of people said, including Ododo Diodio, that if they want to stem the tide of political violence, one of the things to be done is that the NCCE should do more to educate the people. And we're seeing it. So I totally agree with him that, if we go down that road, I believe things will change. Are you done with that paper?
Yes, but can I sneak this in? Yes, it's in the Times. So the West Africa Examination Council says that it is not true that they've released the results. So just to parents whose children or guardians, if your child wrote and then there are some reports out there that they've released the results. They've dismissed reports on WASI results. Right. But there's also tension that the paper is reporting that is mounting at WBM Zion Senior High School at Achim Old Tafu in the Eastern Region after a teacher flogged 2 students mercilessly for laughing at them or at him. The 2 students were lashed by a senior housemaster identified as Mr. Daga, resulting in severe injuries on a Form 2 General Arts student named Patrick Frimpong. The incident reportedly occurred on Thursday, October 29 at 10 p.m. But the video of the incident leaked on Saturday, October 31. It is not clear why the male boarding students were whipped by the teacher, but according to one of the victims, the housemaster accused them of making a mockery of him.
What is wrong with some of these? I mean, yes, if you want to mete out punishment, I mean, I don't even think what was happening. Sometimes we jump the gun and think this or that. Do you remember that other, was it a senior housemaster who had the students for punishment on their knees, basically crawling on their knees and all of that? It's inhuman. It's inhuman. For me, personally, yes, the law and everything, I believe what the Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child. But there are ways of punishing, meting out punishment, even when deserved. And there are regulations when it comes to our institutions currently. Some of these teachers act as though they didn't know that there were these regulations. And you can't do some of these things, but...
Well, fortunately, parents, the relatives of the students were told, according to the story, that they stormed the school on Monday to demand answers from the school authorities on the case and are threatening to report the incident to the police. I think it shouldn't even be a threat. You should go to the police.
No, they should just go ahead and report the matter.
You should go to the police. But I know that GS, the Education Ministry, will step in with some investigation.
And that is the problem. Sometimes.
Well, you need to investigate so that you can be sure
not the investigation,
what the facts are.
Sometimes the investigations, they lead into, but let's just leave it there. Let's do this. I'm not going to read the story, but I find it refreshing that there's this editorial, Bunre Kente Museum Laudable Initiative, and people are talking about it. I feel in this country we don't capitalize enough on what we have. The Kenyans, the Maasais, their outfit, it's actually, is it trademarked or something of the sort? So when you use it, there are certain things. Akente, when in Black Panther, they used Akente. Who bothered to? So those are some of the things. We ought to put these out there more.
Yeah. And
I think the Creative Arts Council is doing some work in that regard. But page 25 of the Daily Graphic, I think I'll be stuck with the graphic and just the finder briefly. Government asked to strengthen protection for journalists. And the story says, the country representative of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, Mr. Abdurrahmane Diallo, has called on government to protect journalists and ensure that perpetrators of crimes against them are held accountable. He said judges and prosecutors in particular had an important role to play in promoting the swift and effective criminal prosecution of people who attacked journalists. I'm happy here he's not just talking about effective, but swift as well. Justice delayed, justice denied. Between 2010 and 2019, per the number crunch here, 900 journalists were killed while doing their job, while more than 150 have had their lives terminated in the last 2 years alone. But finally, this story I'll do from the Finder, and that'll be my last one on page 8. It says, the impact of free SHS will be visible in 10 years, Dr. Baumia. And the Vice President has been saying that Ghana would be a different place when the country begins to realize the full impact of free SHS in 10 to 15 years. We might not see the full impact of free SHS now, but in another 10 to 15 years, Ghana will be a different place because we'll have an educated workforce. And I've touched on this, but another concern here is you may not, government is a continuum and things are going a certain way. You may not be in power then, so do as much as possible now so that the effects will be stamped on whatever administration comes, whether yours or another's. But I see you taking a peek at the American election. November 3rd is here.
I've been trying to follow them. But there's this a story that I want us to get a bit of understanding. Actually, the banner headline in the Ghanaian Times newspaper will use only manual transmission to collate results, according to the Electoral Commission. It says the EC has disclosed that it will revert to the manual process of transmitting results from all the collation centers to the national headquarters. This implies that unlike the 2016 elections, where the electronic system was used alongside the existing manual one to have parallel modes that transmitted results concurrently, there would be only a single mode of transmitting results this year. Speaking to the Ghanaian Times in Accra on Wednesday, a deputy chair of the commission in charge of corporate services, Dr. Eric Bosman-Asari, said the manual system was a standard, quote, standard one with no problem, unquote. He indicated that the EC would make sure all those in charge of the various polling stations will do their work well. And I guess that's the bits that's most important to me in terms of what's going to happen in the election. Manual collation, no electronic transmission of results.
Manuel, fili,
well, manual means once it's declared at the polling station, and that's what the agents do. And that's what our reporters also do. Once you get the results at the polling station, that's it. Just collect all polling station results. That's what goes to the collation center.
Exactly.
Yeah. And once you know you've won on the ground, that's why they say elections are won on the ground.
I get to wait, no. It's there. Anyway.
Yep. So we can spend a bit of time on myjoyonline.com. And then, yes, of course, the American elections.
Since you've been, I'm looking forward to hearing from you.
It's not even election day. It's not election day for me because we know that a greater number voted even before the election day. So it's a process, perhaps that ends after today. Yeah. I was just interested in the last minute.
Any predictions so far?
Honestly, me, no.
Are you going to use that expression, too close to call?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. Like, I'm behaving as though, like, yeah.
But if
whatever happens. No, it's just...
When the US coughs, the rest of the world catches a cold.
Charlie,
that's a bit of the reality.
No. Right now, dear. I mean, I don't think I admire the US like I used to.
Not in terms of admiration, but if Trump is making certain decisions on certain policies financially and all of that, if he's saying that, like the visa bans and all of that, we'll survive it.
We'll survive. We're here when they said... the lottery, they had cancelled it, right? Didn't we survive it? We'll survive it. We'll survive the Democrats, we'll survive the Republicans. Let's do myjoyonline.com. All right, Ben?
Well, Agyapa deal is transparent. Oforiatta replies.
Oh, it's good that we get into this. Is it him speaking directly? Let's get details of the story because that would be the first time that he he'll be speaking after that explosive report. There's so many different words describing this deal. Very incredible.
Right. And it's interesting, like you say, on the back of what happened there. So that is one of the stories there. Agyapa deal is transparent. Oforiatta replies Akufo-Addo. And if you just get into it a bit, it says, the Minister of Finance, Ken Oforiatta, says his outfit carried out due diligence with regard to the processes that led to the approval of the Agyapa royalties agreement in Parliament. This follows a directive from President Akufo-Addo to the Finance Ministry to return the deal to Parliament for further scrutiny after a corruption risk assessment report by the special prosecutor. So, in effect, Ken Oforiatta, this is a bit of a rebuttal, if you like, per what we're seeing here.
So is this Ken speaking
in respect of, well, that is what the story is saying. The Minister of Finance, Ken Oforiatta, says his outfit carried out due diligence. And so, but I don't get it. Is he saying he's not going to take it back to Parliament? I mean, that is not an option.
I don't think that's what he's saying, but of course he believes in the deal, so he's got to justify what had happened.
Right.
But just some of the words that would use: bed rigging, decoys, illicit flows, cronyism, evading Parliament, executive rubber stamping, missing documents.
But when it comes to writing, chef. Martin is my senior friend. So,
shall we go? Let's go a bit. Let's see exactly what he's also been adding. This is the background to the story in terms of Martin Amidu's reports. Okay, so let's go. That's it. I guess this is what we're looking for.
You could even start from the paragraph before what the Office of the Finance Minister is saying, because he also alleged that all the various officials who took part in the process leading to the approval of the deal by Parliament flouted several laws with impunity. That is Martin Amidu. And then there's the statement from...
okay, so here's this. So defending the deal, Mr. Oforiatta, in a memo copied to the President and cited by JoyNews, and that's what we're showing to you on the screen, he insists his ministry has been transparent throughout the transaction process. He argued that the approval of the Attorney General in Parliament was evidence of the transparent nature of the deal and the processes involved, despite the allegations made by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Here's a quote from that. This ministry believes that it has been transparent from the onset. That's contained in that memo.
How transparent is transparent?
Well, ask the Special Prosecutor.
Right. Well,
so that's the defense. You can spend a bit more time reading it in detail as we've cited it and we've published it on myjoyonline.com. JoyNews.com. That's just coming on the back of all the descriptions that Mr. Martin Amidu gave to this deal. Remember that the minority raised issues with it. We had a group of CSOs and they will be vindicated because they said it looked shady. We should take our time and look at it closely. And then there was a call to the special prosecutor. Thankfully, he decided to look into the deal. And then this is the result. But as expected, we see the finance minister strongly defending his deal.
As expected? I think he could have just gone quiet. After all, you've been directed. Take it back to Parliament. Whatever you felt before, he had interacted even with multimedia on how he felt. I think on Newsfile, he had been on Newsfile and he had said exactly, he's regurgitating what he had said. You've said it already. The stance of the special prosecutor is this, and the president has also said that this must be done. So I don't see why this was necessary, but he said it anyway, maybe in defense of the system. Yeah,
if he strongly believes, I mean, he's got to defend the deal that, you know, he took to Parliament and got passed. You're not saying that once Martin Amidu has spoken, that's it.
No, I'm saying it has no effect what the finance minister is saying, and this defense he's put out there before. So why
What's
rehash it? Why rehash it?
Okay, so there are other stories on myjawline.com, but before we finish it, we want to tell you about the U.S. presidential elections. I guess I'm interested in the results. As for the process, we've heard so many things, but here we go. We've got some pictures telling you the story of the U.S. election. This is how far we have come. This is the day that the Lord has made.
This is how far the Lord has brought us.
So
that's a young Trump there, right? And a young Biden.
Yes. So this is, you know, them pictured through the years. Enjoy. Is that Mr. Biden?
Yep.
Sleepy Joe?
Yep.
This is 19
and that's what? So
67?
aged 25 at this time, from 1967. But Charlie, like you.
It's a very young, handsome Joe there.
Whoa. Mr. Trump in the 70s. Look at that tie. The guy has always been flamboyant too. He's always been fly. Hey, this is an interesting one. Now, Senator-elect Joe Biden takes the oath of office in hospital with his father-in-law, Robert Hunter, looking on and recovering son, Beau Biden. That's an interesting one.
So he's not the one on the bed?
No, okay. he actually took the oath in hospital. And your favorite character?
Oh, that's Mr. Trump there, President Trump.
I think he's always been Republican. Look at the tie.
He's always been a showman, I guess, also. This is when Mr. Biden started growing old.
You're looking at that hairline. That's not fair. That's not fair, Bobby. And the ace of spades. Your man in the mix. I just don't like, for someone who has been surrounded a lot by women, I don't like how he's referred to women.
Some women
in the past
still like him.
Well, most women.
A lot of women like him.
You mean like him? Well, some do. Some do.
Okay, so we're just sharing these pictures with you, obviously, because of the day. These two gentlemen go head to. I mean, it's been an incredible journey. We've heard and seen. Do we see insults? We've seen various descriptions of this. Like, this is nothing that we've seen before in terms of how they've gone at each other. And so we just wait to see. Mr. Trump wanted the vote to be counted like immediately. As everybody is done voting today, they start counting and declare results. But it takes a while. So we wait to see how long it would take for us to know who has won. According to the polls, but as for polls, dear Charlie.
No, right now, we've learned our lessons. After, Benefson in 2016 and after the American polls in 2016.
Yeah.
I think Ian and I are choking.
So you see Mr. Biden there in the mask and an umbrella. Well, he's been pretty much, as he goes on the campaign platforms, been wearing the mask and asking people to also do same. As for Mr. Trump, he's Superman. He got COVID-19 and recovered. So he's stronger than ever, according to him. All right, if you're a Republican or a Democrat, Well, we wish you well with this, and we'll be keeping you, our viewers, updated with what happens in the American elections. Ben, we have to go to Oreko and Prof.
Yes, we have to go, and it's time for sports.
Yeah.
That is up next with Oreko and Prof. Do stay tuned.